I'm done trying to live up to others' expectations. Family, society, class, race, sex, or religions. It's time to break free from the isms that make us feel like we're in prison. I'm ready to be unleashed as fuck. I'm ready to be unleashed as fuck. Tired of the madness, done with the sadness. Gonna break free and be unleashed.
Hello! This week we're calling out one of shame's favorite disguises and one I was under for many, many years, perfectionism. I still struggle with it. It's that voice that says that you can't launch it, you can't say it, you can't show up, you can't rest until whatever it is that you're doing is perfect. And the truth is that perfectionism is shame in stilettos, right? It looks polished, it looks professional, it looks like you're just a dynamo, but it actually keeps you small, stuck, and churning in work.
That's right. And it's everywhere. It's in how we parent, how we lead, how we speak, how we emphasize competition in so many aspects of our culture. And it's in how we never stop apologizing for being human.
My gosh, yeah.
So this is the leash that tells women be exceptional or be invisible. Like those are the only two options.
That's just so wrong, isn't it? Oh, just so wrong.
Yeah. But no matter how much you do, it's never enough. And that's the trap.
It absolutely is a trap. We're going to talk about it today. You're listening to Unleashed AF, podcast that rips off the mask, exposes the leashes, and challenges you to lead with your full damn power. I'm Deidre Beecham, Power Voice Catalyst for women done with nice girl training. Just done. Because nice isn't kind, and we really need to be kind. I left a religious cult, came after 20 years of marriage, and rewired my that's easy for me to say. Rewired my brain, body, and soul to reclaim my own power voice. Now I help women like you, the listeners, to do the same.
That's right. And I'm Jenny Badig. I'm a certified hypnotherapist, coach, and human factors engineer, and a liberator of your subconscious superpowers. I help people understand and unleash what's already inside of them so that they can stop sabotaging and start soaring. And together, we're here to strip back the BS, call out the leashes, as Deidre said earlier, and explore what it really means to be free in your body, in your voice, in your damn life. So if you love what we're about, hit follow, subscribe, share, like, all those things, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Either under the video itself that you're watching, or you can go to our website, unleashedafpodcast.com. There's actually a page on there called WWJDD, which stands for What Would Jenny and Deidre Do? That's a good place for you to give us feedback or comments on either the episode that you've been watching, or if you have ideas, suggestions, whatever. For us, that's a good way to get information to us. So we are here for truth, for rebellion, and your authentic, unleashed life.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And today we're going to talk about the shame behind not enough, perfectionism, and how perfectionism keeps you small. And I never would have believed that. I never would have believed that. I reveled in my perfectionism. Have you ever reveled in your perfectionism, Jenny?
Absolutely. I mean, growing up through school, I was a good student. So if I didn't get straight A's, something was wrong.
Oh, yeah. I brandished my perfectionism around like it was an award. I was so proud, right? Coming home with my straight A's. I was just so proud. And I worked so hard at that. Because the idea of being criticized, I can tell you a quick story. I wasn't planning on, but this just jumped into my head.
There you
go. I was, oh my gosh, I was in elementary school. This is how far back this perfectionism shit goes. I remember being in elementary school, and it was obviously already deeply embedded in me. I think it was third grade, and the perfectionism was already deeply ingrained. because what happened was there were directions on the board about how to draw this house, right? And so it was instructions how to draw this house. So, you know, and we had just learned about the difference between looking at something and something be on the left, or being in something and something be on the left. So
Perspective.
I got confused about the point of view or the perspective, like you said, that we were supposed to do. And I did everything exactly opposite.
Mm.
Oh my God. I remember getting this paper and it said F. I mean, I had never even had a B. And F, you know, and to me, F means fail. So I
Right.
completely failed this. I mean, I basically got a 0. If she wanted to, she could have given me some points for actually writing something on it. I mean, I completed the project, but I completed it completely wrong. And I was so mortified. I felt like I was melting inside. Like, how can I face my parents? I felt my face going red. I was, you know, anxiety was just driven inside of me. And I remember, you know, taking that and putting it in a book bag and then thinking, how am I going to tell my parents? How am I going to tell my parents?
Yeah.
And I was just horrified at having to tell them. And I remember that they were dropping me off because at this period in my life, I was actually staying at somebody else's house for the night at this point for some reason. I can't get into that. So anyway, so they were dropping me off. And I remember sliding out of the truck and saying, I have to give you something. Threw it into the truck. And I'd started crying. Just bawling, crying. And I don't even remember if it was my mom or my dad, and who was in the car with me. And they're like, "What's this?" I'm like, "I got everything wrong. I nothing. You know, it was just this trying to make any sense. And they were just like, "It's fine. You know, it's fine. Really, it's perfectly all right. You know, you'll do better next time." And I was just absolutely horrified. We never talked about it again. I went back to straight A's.
We shall not speak of this again.
Right. I mean, but I would double, triple check instructions to make sure that I got stuff right after that. You know, and some people listening go, well, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? So what's wrong with that, Jenny? What's wrong with double, triple checking, quadruple checking and making sure everything is absolutely perfect? Why does it even matter? That, I mean, shouldn't I? I mean, I'm successful. I'm a successful woman. And that's one of the reasons I've gotten so far is because I work really damn hard to get where I am. And so if things are perfect, I mean, they have to be perfect, right? Don't they? Don't they just have to be perfect?
Right. Yeah. Well, that gets you it spins you into a rut. And I'll tell you, it makes me think of the Inside Out movie that came out this past summer, Inside Out 2, where anxiety was one of the characters. And it was so important to her that Riley do the exact right thing for whatever this situation was in a hockey camp or something like that. And just starts spinning around in Riley's brain. And I'm like, this is what it's like.
And
to feel like you doubt yourself, you can't trust yourself, and you just keep spinning. You're just running around.
Which is what perfectionism really is.
Yep.
And it's also a lack of trust that if you do put something out, that you can handle that there's something wrong with it, that it's not the end of the world. It's just not.
Right.
And it's usually, in my experience, my personal experience, and the experience I've had with my clients, is that it is almost always trauma that has caused this whole perfectionism thing, or some unrealistic ideal that your parents have given you. And of course, corporations do it too. I mean, I think they weaponize the hell out of perfectionism because it keeps us stuck. It keeps us performing and trying to match up to someone else's standard. And we can say, well, no, that's my standard. I'm the perfectionist. Nobody else is asking that of me. I expect that of myself.
Right. But the funny
Um,
thing is, I mean, I agree with you that they're sort of pushing this idea of perfectionism. That's how they sell some of their products. But on the other hand, corporations are always updating, upgrading, releasing
when has
new
a
things.
corporation sent out anything that's perfect,
Right.
especially software?
Right.
Especially software.
Yeah.
If they weren't, we wouldn't have all these damn updates that have to happen all the time.
Yep.
Oh, there's a patch. We didn't
Yep.
know that was a problem. Oh, here's another patch.
Yep.
And meanwhile, they're racking up thousands of dollars, and women are going, I don't know, I have to make it perfect first. I have to
Yeah.
make it perfect. Making no money. So it affects your money too.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're
Absolutely.
because of that doubt. It is a self-doubt. If I don't care how successful you are, perfectionism is a form of doubt, and it's also a form of shame.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And I think, as you were talking about that situation in elementary school, the thing that popped into my mind is it was, for me anyway, it was very much a sense of not wanting to disappoint.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And whether it was spoken outwardly or not, I didn't want to disappoint my teachers, my parents, whoever, because,
Because go ahead.
well, it wasn't like I'm certainly sometimes it can come from some sort of abuse or neglect or something like that. But I don't think that was really my story. It was just the idea that a lot of expectation had been placed on me. People talked about, oh my gosh, look how great she does. Oh, she got good grades. She's really going to do something when she grows up, yada, yada, yada. And so I was like, oh, wow, they all think a lot of me. I've got to live up to that. I don't want to let them down or disappoint them. That
Yeah.
was just, and I don't think that is necessarily baked into everybody from scratch, but some people, it's almost like a personality trait where sometimes that kind of thing grabs onto you and it sinks in and you take it like as part of your core beliefs, basically. Other times there are some people that I don't think get tripped up by that perfectionist thing in the least. They'll just
Sure,
go
but
do
yeah,
what.
absolutely. Absolutely. There are certainly people that don't have that perfectionism thing. But there are a lot of women that do have that
Oh,
perfectionism
for
thing.
sure. Yeah.
And I agree with you about it, not, especially when I was younger, not wanting to disappoint someone else. As I grew, though, it became more of I need to make sure this is perfect so I don't get criticized because
Mm-hmm.
because I am perfect. I have, I was always told you're really smart.
Mm-hmm.
Deidre, you're really smart. You
Yep.
are so lucky. Your daughter is so smart. So smart. So the idea of getting an F was like,
Yeah.
well, now I'm stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not because I thought I was stupid, because I certainly didn't think I was stupid. But now other people think I'm stupid.
Mm.
Right? So now other people think I'm
Yeah.
stupid. If I hand this in and then I get criticized, I look stupid. Of course I
Mm.
know how to do this. If I send something out and something is misspelled, oh my gosh, they're going to think I'm stupid or that I can't proofread or and so it's all about this outside there. What are
Yeah.
they thinking? What are they thinking? And then, and I, as a perfectionist, would have said to somebody if they said that to me, be like, no, I just expect I just expect a lot out of myself.
Mm-hmm.
I expect to perform. But why? Why aren't you good enough as you are?
Right.
Why aren't you good enough? And I'm not talking to people who are still trying to figure things out and but what about what if you're successful? You're there, you're doing things, you're moving forward. Why are you so worried about what other people think?
Right.
And
I mean,
I
it's
think
part of
it's
our
a form of
society.
shame.
It's
Yeah.
just woven in a lot to our society, our culture. Another thing that just popped up in my mind was because I was trying to think, man, did I ever get an F? It does seem like at some point I've seen an F, but I do specifically remember because we were both in gifted programs in elementary school, right?
Yeah.
So I
Yeah, the
remember
gifted and
that,
talented program. Mhm.
yeah, I was in the gifted program, which meant I missed out on some of the regular classes because they'd pull us out of class, we would go do something else. And
Yeah.
so there was a like pop quiz or yeah, a pop quiz that came up in some science class with the teacher that I only had for science. I didn't like, that's the only time I ever saw her. She wasn't my homeroom teacher or anything else. It was just, that was the only time I saw her.
Mm-hmm.
And she did this pop quiz the day after the GATE program, the Gifted and Talented, on the stuff that
And
they had
you
done.
hadn't prepared for it because you weren't
I had
there.
no freaking clue what they talked about.
And how did that feel?
At least, I think I got a D on it probably. And that was, I mean, I think I had an initial reaction of, holy shit, I don't get D's. Like, this is not acceptable. And I don't know if my mom was reacting to that or if my mom had a whole different set of perfectionism that she was responding to. But honestly, to this day, if you mention that teacher's name to her, she's like, do not like that woman. I gave it up a long time ago. I'm like, it's just because I wasn't there. It didn't really reflect on what I knew. How could I have possibly known that stuff? I wasn't there. Mom did not give up on that, which may have been what pushed even more of my feelings of I don't want to disappoint, because look how upset she got.
Sure. And I think it can certainly, and I'd love to talk about this for a second. I think it can also come from, I mean, I know it comes from abuse, because I know that's one of the things that happened with me. Mm-hmm. I know it's a trauma reaction for some people, but I also believe it can be, this you've accepted, grabbed onto this idea of, well, I must do this because that's what is expected of me now. But I also wonder, because you mentioned your mom, I also wonder if it's just something that we intrinsically are passing down, because I know I did some of this with my kids. Some of my traits that I now look at in looking back and going, ooh, can't believe I was that way. Ugh. And, I know that those are things that got handed down from my mom, because of her being raised in an even more shame-based society, because as we've moved along, we've become less shame-based. Yeah. Some sectors have become more shame-based, but, in general in society, we've become less shame-based. Right. And I'm wondering if part of it is, just the trauma from our parents having gone through it and just passing down what they wanted to teach us, to make sure that we didn't go through whatever shame they went through, and consequently just made shit even worse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and that's an interesting perspective, and it kind of opened up a new link to me that I hadn't really thought of, because my mom was very protective, and things like that, and certainly had high expectations. We didn't find out until I was well into adulthood that she had been physically abused as a child. And the fear of doing something wrong meant you got beat, kind of, so that may be part of where that came from for her.
Sure.
Not that she was planning to beat me. Like, she never was physically abusive to me, but that may have been her mindset.
And instilled shame in you. Like, I believe my mom instilled shame in me.
For sure.
And for her, those were things that protected her.
Right.
And they were things that protected me. And of course, there's all kinds of shame, when we talk about on our show all the time, that shame comes from various places. But this is interesting. This is interesting that, we may have gained some of the shame that we grew up with because our parents were just teaching us to be ashamed.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Or, I mean, that's true. The thing that, in my case anyway, I think is more obvious, or a different perspective on that, sort of like what you were talking about with, like, how you drove the house. So from my lens, it's expecting more and not making mistakes so as to avoid bad consequences.
Yes.
Right. So it wasn't so much about being ashamed of something, it was about being safe. Don't do this or you'll not be safe.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, because that was it for me too, was wanting to do well. But again, not just well, but perfect.
Yeah.
It had to be perfect.
Yeah.
And it blew me away that when people didn't try. I just didn't understand that. Like, why aren't you? What? It
Yeah.
made no sense to me. It made no sense to me.
Yeah.
It just did not compute.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
something. I mean, the reason when you first said that, I was like, oh, don't even get me started. The thing that stands out to me most when it comes to people that I felt like you're not even trying, or you're given this opportunity and you're blundering it, was when I was in college, playing volleyball in college. And I was busting my ass trying to get more playing time. And there are these girls that are, and I'm 5'6" on a good
Mhm.
day. So not the ideal body type for college,
Yeah.
or for volleyball.
Volleyball,
And
yeah.
these other girls that are, 6 foot, 6'2", and they're there because they naturally just have the height. And obviously they've got to have some athletic ability to be playing in college, but they were more interested and more focused on going out and drinking and partying. And I'm like, you're going to be hungover for the game tomorrow. Why are you, like, you could get so much better stats. You could be like an NCAA all team, first team, whatever, but you're not applying yourself. Like, if I was that tall, I'd be kicking ass. Like, I can work, come in extra at the gym and do whatever I want, but I'm never going to be 6'2". I'm never going to have your height. I'm never going to be able to jump that high. Like, but you're squandering what you've already got. Like, that was so frustrating to me. Like,
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
and they
But I've also
definitely didn't have that. I mean, they were competitive. They definitely had a competitive push to them.
yeah.
But in terms
But
of
even
prioritizing and
yeah, but even
perfecting,
so, think about your perspective on that, right? Your view on that is, how do you not feel shame for utilizing
for
what you
not
have,
doing, not
right?
reaching your full potential.
Which is
Yeah.
kind of what we were talking about last week in public shame, right? Societal shame, that we
Mm-hmm.
shame each other. That it's
Right.
not just the shame we have, but we shame each other. And yeah, I think women do that a lot, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and something else just popped into my head when you were talking about all this, and I was like, "Oh, we haven't talked about this." I don't know.
Maybe it'll come back.
I don't know what it was, but oh, I know. I was thinking about, well, how this shows up, right? So one of the ways that perfectionism can show up where it's damaging, because so many times women are like, "Well, what's so wrong about being perfect? What's so wrong about perfectionism?"
Mm-hmm.
One of the problems with perfectionism is that you may not get something done.
Right.
You can have, let's say you're an entrepreneur and you're doing your own website, or you're an entrepreneur and you're trying to pull together your own program, and you put it off and put it, and I know I've done this,
Ditto.
where you put it off, and it's because it's not perfect yet. There's something that bothers you about it, or you don't feel confident because you haven't done it before. And how can you be perfect at something you haven't done? It makes doing new things more difficult. It
Mm-hmm.
makes being creative more difficult. It makes setting yourself up for being a leader more difficult,
Mm-hmm.
because you're driving yourself crazy. And if you do it, you're riddled with anxiety.
Yep.
And yeah, that's what I wanted to, that's
Yeah.
what I wanted to bring up. Yeah.
Yeah. And I also remember, like, when I worked as an engineer for over a decade, I had gotten to the point towards the end, like shortly before I left to be a hypnotherapist, where I was doing talks in front of people. I was teaching classes. So, I was presenting in front of management and customers and stuff like that. Never bothered me. I knew what I was talking about. I knew my information. So I never had an issue. And then it was a few years before I even had an opportunity after I left there to do any significant kind of presentation or speech in front of a group of people. And I got an opportunity to do the Sunday talk at Unity, which I was like, yeah, I can do this. I've done it before. I mean, I'll just write up my own talk and do it. No problem.
Mm-hmm.
I know all these people. They know me. Like, I feel comfortable. But I swear to God, the night before that talk, I was having like a panic attack. My heart was racing. I couldn't sleep. And I'm like, what is wrong with me? I don't even care if I flub it up. They're not, I mean, I'll just laugh along with them because I have that kind of relationship with those people. Why the hell am I doing this or feeling this way? And it's, that sense of, well, I haven't done the talk before, so it's a new thing for me. And what if I forget what I'm talking about, or what, it was just all those what ifs came up.
Yes.
And I was like, I don't know if I can get through this thing. Holy crap. And that was a new thing for me. Like that had not happened. God, I don't remember the last time I'd had an issue getting up in front of people to talk. So it can really kind of creep up on you, even when you feel like, okay, I'm better now. Because certainly when I transitioned from doing engineering stuff, living in a mostly male dominated world of being an engineer and going to meetings and stuff like that, you get used to the men are just the ones that are going to try to run the show when it comes to meetings of a bunch of engineers. So you either just stay quiet or you better be damn sure that you know what you're talking about, because there's way more of them than there are of you. And they'll call you to task if there's something that if you put something out there and like, well, that's not true. You don't know about this. And then you just shrink back down. So not that happened a lot, but it's always in your mind. Like, oh, okay, if I'm going to say something, I better be damn sure I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, because again, the social shaming and the criticism, and then suddenly, well, she doesn't know what she's talking about.
Yeah, well, she's just a girl. Yeah. She's only here for DEI or whatever.
Yeah, societal shame in corporations is just ridiculous, especially with the patriarchal viewpoint. Anyway, continue.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, and so it was kind of a nice thing as I transitioned into becoming a hypnotherapist. It sort of forced me to think on my feet and be confident with what I was saying. I mean, when I do phone consults for people, I have no idea what they're going to ask me about. But the fact that I know how hypnotherapy works and how I work with people, I can handle anything that they ask me. And so that's been a really nice shift from, I don't have to hold back and not say anything because, what if I say the wrong thing? Nope. I will respond to whatever because it makes sense to me and I can explain it to you in a sensible way. Similarly, when I'm doing recordings for people, when I'm doing a recording for a client that I'm working with one-on-one, I do the recording right there. It's usually a 2.5 to 3 hour session. So I can get enough information to really make sure I do a good recording for them. And then the recording itself takes about a half hour. So that's part of that half hour or 3 hour session. But I can go through and do that and I can freeform it. I mean, I script out suggestions that I'm going to repeat, but then I just do some freeform future imagery. And I do that like for every freaking client that gets a custom recording, I do that for. But if I decide, I want to come up with like a standard recording that I could put out and, just help people be more relaxed or deal with whatever stresses are coming up that are like, everybody's kind of going through the same thing. It takes me forever to figure out. And sometimes I just never do it to actually decide, this is ready. Even though when it's a one-on-one person, I'm like, well, I'm just going to do it. I got to. They're here and it needs to happen. So there it goes. I got to just do it. But when I'm trying to do something that I don't have that pressure of the person's right here and we got to finish it up before they leave, it may never happen because of the perfectionism thing. I always think, it's not right. I need to think, what do I want to say here? Maybe I could say that different. And it stalls me bad still to this day.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? And it's, and that's exactly the point that I think that we're trying to make, is that perfectionism can keep you stuck. And so while it can help you succeed in a lot of ways, it leads to burnout, first of all. And second of all, it does make it much more difficult for you to try new things. It's so much more difficult for you to step outside of yourself and challenge yourself to do something new, because you're not going to do the new thing perfectly.
Right.
And yet perfect things can come out of imperfection. I'm just going to give a quick example. I just ran Burn the Mask twice now. I ran Burn the Mask. And I know you're doing your thing this week, but just share what happened. Um, each time only one person showed up. Different person each time, but one person showed up. Now, the perfectionist in me is going, well, that's a failure.
Right.
That's a failure. And but it turned out perfectly. It ended up that, and I think you even saw that testimonial, as
Yeah.
at the end of the first one, she had a great time. She's like, oh my gosh, I want to do a testimonial for you. And so something that wasn't perfect, not the perfect number of people didn't show up. In fact, only one person showed up. There were just a whole bunch of things that fell through, and yet it ended up being fabulous.
Yeah.
Ran it again, one person showed up. I'm like, what the hell? Right? And it's tempting as a perfectionist, it's tempting to go, something's wrong, and I'm just forget about it. But
Yep.
no, you have to keep doing it. And
Yeah.
I came to my wife after the second one. I just finished the second one, and I said, I was upset that only one person showed up each time. I said, but maybe that's just the way it was supposed to happen, because the person that just did this one was so tickled about something that came up for her, that she wants to give me a testimonial. I said, maybe I just need to keep getting these. If one person shows up, just make sure it's rocking. Get a testimonial.
Yeah.
And maybe it turns into something I charge for. I don't know. So, you don't know something that is absolutely abysmal, that you think is abysmal because you're not ready. It's not perfect. And then it can end up being absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've always loved the statement. I don't know that she's the first one that ever said it, but I kind of attribute it to Vicky, our mutual friend, Vicky Ibaugh, when she said, take imperfect action.
Yeah.
You can't stay frozen. You have to take imperfect action. Just move forward and do something, and then adjust and keep moving on. And something that I know I've used with clients quite a bit is, the fact that if you look back to when we were all babies or toddlers, we didn't just hop up on 2 feet and start running around like we knew what we were doing.
Right.
We fell. We
over
tripped.
and over and over.
Right. And so that's part of how you learn. You got to get up and try it and see what didn't work that time and try to do something a little different. And then eventually it works out. And that's true of people that have won Olympic medals in track. They did the same thing when they were kids. They tried to get up on 2 feet and it didn't work the first time and it didn't work the second time. But obviously they kept at it, so it's perseverance is something that can be, if you can find a way to keep the push of perseverance and patience, that can be a healthy counterbalance to the freezing of perfectionism.
True. And I think part of it too is loving yourself enough to accept that, you aren't perfect and no one else is either.
Right.
Nobody.
Exactly.
And so Jenny and I were talking early this week, and we came up with this question that we wanted to ask you, which goes along with everything we were just saying. So where in your life are you waiting to be perfect before you allow yourself to move forward, to be seen, to be visible, to do the next thing, to do the thing you've been thinking, that's the thing I want to do, but your perfectionism is keeping you from doing it? Where in your life are you waiting for it to be perfect? Think about it.
Yeah.
Burn the Mask was one of those for me.
Yeah. I've still got several. I mean, there's several different projects that I've come up with that I'm like, oh, that would be great. I could do that. That'll be some residual income or whatever. And I get to the point where I'm like, oh, should I do that way or that way? What would be the perfect way to do this?
Yeah. Instead, what Vicky Ibaugh would probably say is pick.
Yeah.
Pick and go.
flip a freaking
Pick and
coin
go.
if you have
If
to.
it's the wrong way, then you just stop and you pivot the other way.
Yep.
Do that.
Yeah.
Do that. But
Yeah.
you said you have a client that you're currently working with.
Yeah. Yeah. Talking about perfectionism, I mean, one of the first things that popped into my mind is a hypno coaching client that I'm working with right now. And one of the things that has come up from her for her recently is the awareness that her need to control everything and have everything be a certain way, which is another flavor of perfectionism, really she thinks is stemming from her dad being a narcissist when she was a kid and being completely unpredictable.
Yeah.
And so she never knew what to expect from him in terms of what was going to be okay or how he's going to treat her. And so for her to be able to control a situation keeps her from feeling like she did as a kid with him. And so it leads her to doing like overdoing stuff in her career, for example. So people keep lopping on more stuff to her plate because they're like, well, no, she'll do it because she never doesn't do it. But it's hurt her personal life. She's struggling with work-life balance because she can't say no to the things at work.
She's the nice girl. Yeah.
Right. And so, just that kind of awareness that just recently came up for her was a real aha moment. And it also made me connect. I'm like, gosh, what do we do? How do we help reinforce that so it sticks, that awareness sticks for her? And so the suggestion I had for her was, I said, if you haven't read The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz, I really encourage you. Yeah. I'm like, read that book. And she's like, you know what? I have it. And I was going through books the other day. So I'll find it because I'm going through all my books. I will find it and I will read it. Because I said that it's sort of like the opposite of that perfectionism and needing to keep everything perfect and under control is faith and understanding. And so those are some of the things I think that come out of that book, The 4 Agreements. And, I said, I'm even going to, like, this is one of those areas where I get caught up in my perfectionism. But I said, I want to create a recording, a hypnotic recording that reinforces those concepts from the 4 Agreements.
Oh, that's great. I love that.
So I'm almost done with it, almost have it ready. I'm working on like the background technical stuff to get it available on my hypnohuddle.com website. So that should be available in the next couple of days. And it's one of those things where I was hoping to have it ready before we did the podcast, but in trying to script out different things, I'm like, okay, I want to say this. I want to make sure I say that, but absolutely, I'm going to have it up in the next day or so. And so that's something that can help just swing things. We've talked before about like the neuro pathways that get developed in your mind because of either people that you are around. Like we talked about narcissism and how that can affect the neural pathways. This is something that can really try to redirect those and take off some of that pressure of expectation and perfection and control and judgment and all those things. I mean, that's what I get out of that book anyway. The wisdom of that book is, just the main concepts. I don't remember if we talked about, I'm sure we brought it up before on the podcast. But just to remind people, if they're not that familiar with it, the main things are be impeccable with your word. These are the 4 agreements. Be impeccable with your word. Say what you mean and mean what you say. When you do that, then there's not as much of a feeling of, oh, I can't really back that up because it wasn't really for real. I was just, I'm not even sure why I said it. Be impeccable with your word. Be sure of what you say. You don't have to say it right away. Just be sure of what you say before you say it. Second one is don't take anything personally. So all the concern about judgment or letting people down, you can kind of turn the mirror around and go, okay, that's more about them than it is about me, which kind of goes with actually the 4th agreement, which is always do your best. So if you're always doing the best that you can do, but realizing that could be different in different situations, but based on how you're feeling, your energy level, heck, as someone going through perimenopause, your hormone level can change what your best is every day. But acknowledging that your best may not be what someone would consider perfect, but it's all that you can do. You can't do better than your best. And so accepting that, and then also going, okay, well, if I'm doing my best and somebody else has something to say about it, that's more about them than it is about me. And then don't make assumptions is the third agreement, which again goes to being judged. If somebody says something, are you assuming that they're judging you or something along those lines? Mm-hmm. There's just a lot of good wisdom in the 4 agreements, and to help, like I said, sort of program that in, create those kind of pathways, neural pathways for people, I think can be very transformative. So that's the thing. That's the reason I decided to put out a recording like that.
Awesome. And so where should they, I think in your notes, it says HypnoHuddle. So I put hypnohuddle.com up.
Yeah. That's the main place I'm going to put it. I'll probably eventually have access to it from hypnotherapybyjenny.com as well. But if they go to hypnohuddle.com, there's a page and a menu option for hypno recordings. And there's a link to get to it from there, or there will be a link. I'm still working on the background stuff. I'm doing it in a different way than I've done recordings before. So I've changed to some different technology. That's why I still need to kind of test it out and make sure it's going to work correctly, but it'll be up soon.
Awesome. So here's hypnohuddle.com is one of Jenny's websites. And here's the other, which is hypnotherapybyjenny.com if you'd like to learn more about what Jenny has going on.
That's right.
So we actually already shared our uplifting moment, but we do have a video we'd like to share with you before we completely close out. Let me see, where did I put it? I think I'm going to play the International Women's Day one.
Okay.
It's just a little over a minute, worth every moment. And I'm sure all of us have felt this at one time or another.
No woman wants to be a bitch at first. No woman wants to be a bitch. Women become bitches because of systemic, societal oppression, bullshit, and you not listening to me, Steve, but no woman wants to be a bitch. What we wanted was equity. What we wanted was safety. What we wanted was fair pay. And instead, they put lead in our tampons and they took our pockets. We wanted to be heard. You made us this way. No woman wants to be a bitch. No woman wakes up and sets her morning intention to bitch. No girl, when she's little, is like, when I grow up, I'm gonna be a liability. No woman wants to be a bitch. Never forget, women are special. We are sacred. There is something so magical about us, and that is why people get violent and mean and horrific when they cannot own a woman, because everybody wants a woman. Everybody wants to fuck a woman, be a woman, have a woman, appropriate the way a woman is, dress like a woman, have a mother, have a sister. You ever meet a man that has no women in his life? He's weird. Everyone wants a woman.
She's not wrong.
I love every moment of that. And I want to make a clarification because I've been called a bitch before when all I was doing was putting up a boundary.
Yeah.
So, just because, she's saying, not every woman wakes up and says, I want to be a bitch. No, we don't. But we do wake up and we say, you know what? I'm done being used. I'm done being abused, and I'm done being the nice girl that everybody walks over and I say yes to everything. And we start putting up boundaries, and then people that have been used to abusing you and used to getting the results of abusing you, then they're just like, well, you bitch, why aren't you doing this for me? Who made you king, queen? Who do you think you are? And all you're doing is going, I'm being kind to myself. I am in integrity with myself, And in being integrity with myself, I am protecting my space, I am protecting my time, and most importantly of all, I'm protecting my value.
Yeah.
And when that happens, you feel great, and then other people are like, what the hell, you bitch? And so, part of what Jenny and I do is to help you to face those moments as well.
Yeah.
That once you start owning yourself and who you are, other people are going to react in a way, and you still need to maintain your own integrity. It doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. In fact, it means you're doing things right. And being around other people who are doing the same thing, a lot of it is you just have to find your tribe.
Yeah.
You want to go ahead and offer the challenge for the week, Jenny?
Yeah. Hold on.
All right, I can do it. If you're.
Yeah, go ahead. I was looking up something else.
Yeah, no problem. You keep doing what you're doing. This week we want to dare you. Come on, take the dare. We want to dare you to show up before you feel you're ready, in whatever it is. Let's say you're an entrepreneur. Put something up before you're ready, before it's completely 100% perfect. It's okay. Do a messy launch. Show up unfiltered. Now, that's one of the things that I tried really hard today, is to just be unfiltered, just be myself, talk about things that I want to talk about. When they come into my head, let's talk about them. And it can feel unnerving if you're not used to it. I'm getting much more used to it all the time, and it feels so much more natural. And so do it. We dare you.
Yep.
So let's go into the notable news. I think that's what you're working on right now.
Yeah. I remembered, sorry, to be distracted, but I know we've talked for a while about June 14th being a No Kings sit-in, and with strikes nationwide across the country on that day, which is the day that, at this point anyway, Trump is proposing doing his military parade for his birthday. But I also saw something recently about prior to that, on June 6th, which is the anniversary of D-Day.
Oh, D-Day, yeah.
And that was what I was trying to remember what was significant about June 6th. They're trying to get a lot of protests together on that day as well. I think you'll want to check for your local ones. I think that was one that they were saying, typically at state buildings or city, like government buildings, although that might be really the No Kings thing. It may be more trying to target the military and say, don't participate in this freaking bullshit parade. Another thing that I saw recently, but it was an article, so it wasn't a video that was easy to share, but it talked about how the West Point graduates did not shake Trump's hand at graduation, which is a traditional thing. That's what they typically would do with whoever was the speaker. But it was sort of like he was whooshed away, because part of their honor code is that they don't accept lies and, various other things that he's guilty of. And there were several of them that would go to their supervisor and say, what do we do? I mean, if we're are you asking us to put the honor code like at risk here? Is this going to ruin my career if I do this because I'm a hypocrite? And so they made it not happen so that nobody was in that awkward
position. Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love.
And of course the news, news didn't cover that, but
no, of course not. Of course not. But you want to keep up to date with everything. There are several websites you go to. Mobilize.us is absolutely fantastic. And if you're feeling like, wow, you know what? Oh, wait, here's another one. This is a good one too. 5050.one. I know that they're a part of the June 14th.
Yeah.
That is happening. If you want to sign up for the strike, that will happen at some point, because we're going to get there, people. So, go ahead and go to generalstrikeus.com and please sign up. If you wanted to take some action, go to 5calls.org. It's a fantastic place. Get you all the information you need. And I think
that's for sure a thing that can be done before either of those other, like June 6th or June 14th.
Absolutely.
Call and talk to your, at this point, senators, because these things have already passed the House, about the big, beautiful bill.
Beautiful bill.
Yeah. And there's a variety of other things that still haven't passed through the
There's
Senate.
several things that are sitting in the Senate
Yep.
that they haven't voted on yet.
And we need to keep the pressure on about those, I think,
Yes.
because they're probably waiting for the attention to
They're
die
waiting
down.
for us to forget.
Yeah.
We can't forget. Maybe next time, if we can remember, we can write down a list of the different bills that are still sitting in the Senate. We've talked about them as weeks have gone by, but it would be good to have a little compilation.
Yeah. And another thing that I heard actually around the June 14th thing is for those who maybe can't make it to an actual protest on that day, to do another economic blackout.
Yeah.
Just not purchasing anything from anywhere, basically.
And certainly don't watch the parade on TV.
Right.
I mean,
Media blackout as well.
Media blackout.
Yep.
There's also somebody that said there's a website you can go to get tickets to show up for the parade. And then the guy was like, and then you could just, I don't know, forget that you got them. So that's also an idea as well. We might see if I can find that website next time. And we are not talking about perfectionism next week because that's what we talked about this week. I have no idea what we're going to talk about next week. So, it'll be a surprise for both of us.
Yep. Look at us not being perfect.
Oh my gosh, how perfect is that? That we imperfectly did this show.
That's great. That's great.
Oh, that is hilarious. If you enjoyed today's episode, I sure hope you did. We did. Subscribe, follow, share. If you have got a topic or a question, want to be a guest. We don't have many guests, but it could happen. Go to our website at unleashedafpodcast.com. Go to WWJDD. What would Jenny and Deidre do? On the website. We'd love to hear from you. And so I think that is it. We'll see next week what we're talking about. It'll be fun, and it'll be something you're interested in. So come on back. And you want to go ahead and close us out?
Sure. Just remember, as we try to say each week, to remind you, you're not too much. You're not broken. The system is.
All around us.
You are unleashing. And we encourage you to keep going.
Yeah, join us. All right. Take care.
I'm done trying to live up to others' expectations. Family, society, class, race, sex, or religions. It's time to break free from the isms that make us feel like we're in prison. I'm ready to be unleashed as fuck.